wise man once said, "What we need is a new myth. What we need is a new true story that tells us where we're going in the universe." One of the things that I like to use in a general conversation, just as a gauge to see whether or not the person I'm speaking with is open to philosophic ideas and whether or not they're willing to take an extreme idea and either just listen to it or if they're going to just shut down. And the simulation theory is perfect for that. Now, the simulation theory is a real theory and it's gaining a lot of traction lately. It's a really interesting theory, and I like to work with it in a philosophic sense.
I think here's, in my mind, like the strongest argument for us being in a simulation, probably being in a simulation, I think is the following. That 40 years ago, we had Pong, like two rectangles and a dot. That was what games were. Now, 40 years later, we have photorealistic 3D simulations with millions of people playing simultaneously, and it's getting better every year. And soon we'll have virtual reality, augmented reality. If you assume any rate of improvement at all, then the games will become indistinguishable from reality. They'll be indistinguishable. Even if that rate of advancement drops by 1,000 from what it is right now, then you just say, okay, well, let's imagine it's 10,000 years in the future, which is nothing in the evolutionary scale. So given that we're clearly on a trajectory to have games that are indistinguishable from reality, and those games could be played on any set-top box or on a PC or whatever, and there would probably be, billions of such, computers or set-top boxes, it would seem to follow that the odds that we're in base reality is 1 in billions.
So
tell me what's wrong with that argument.
Is the answer yes?
The argument is probably. But I just like, is there a flaw in that argument?
I mean, someone.
I'm not sure what the error.
No. The argument makes sense. So the assumption then is that somebody beat us to it, and this is a game.
No. There's a 1 in billions chance that this is base reality.
Oh, okay. What do you think?
Well, I think it's 1 in billions.
Okay. Yeah,
I mean, that seems to be like clearly what it suggests.
Right.
And actually, I mean, arguably we should hope that that's true, because otherwise, if civilization stops advancing, then that may be due to some calamitous event that erases civilization. So maybe we should be hopeful that this is a simulation, because otherwise...
Because they could reboot it.
Well, otherwise, either we're going to create simulations that are indistinguishable from reality, or civilization will cease to exist. Those are the two options.
So I like to take this theory and say, well, okay, let's say that we are living in a simulation, that we are playing some sort of a computer game. Let's look for some virtual Easter eggs. If you're watching a movie or you're reading a book, you are entering into this unspoken agreement between you and the author that you're going to suspend your disbelief. And I like to ask my audience to suspend their belief. I like to suggest that we hit the pause button on this game of life and analyze some of the things that we believe. Truth is our only compass, and it can lead you down a rough road. How does that saying go? The truth will set you free, but first it's going to really piss you off. Ignorance is bliss. And this is a cliche for a reason. Ignorance is the easy way. To live in a world without becoming aware of the meaning of the world is like wandering about in a great library without touching the books. Those who live their life this way fall prey to the following. There are 2 ways to be fooled. One is to believe what isn't true, and the other is to refuse to believe what is true. However, if the truth can be told so as to be understood, it will be believed. Nevertheless, sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed. And some will accuse me of blasphemy. I'm going to talk quite a bit about John Allegro in just a little bit. He's a prime example of shooting the messenger. After years of searching for religious truth, I've come to the understanding that it no longer matters to me if a man named Jesus ever rose from the dead or was ever born of a virgin. I find more meaning buried within the legend than I ever would if the story were factual.